The first god was fear itself. Long before temples rose from stone, before empires carved their names into history, humans looked to the sky and saw mystery. Lightning meant anger, the flood meant punishment, and a failed hunt meant disfavor. From fear came faith, and from faith came rituals. The oldest civilizations, Mesopotamia, Egypt, and the Indus Valley, shared one common belief, that unseen forces controlled every breath of life. Gods were not symbols of love and light. They were moody, vengeful, and dangerously human. To live peacefully, people had to feed their fears with offerings, blood, and prayer. 2. The Curse of Uru, Mesopotamia's first fear. Around 4,500 years ago, in the ancient city of Uru, the world's first curse tablet was born. A clay tablet, small enough to fit in a palm, was inscribed with strange words. "May the gods of the underworld strike down the thief who takes this land." It was buried beneath the corner of a home, a protection spell, but also a warning. The curse invoked gods like Ereshkigal, queen of the dead, and Nergal, lord of plague. To steal from this land was to invite eternal sickness. This was the origin of a dark truth. Humans didn't just fear death, they believed it could be weaponized. 3. The Egyptian obsession with eternity. If Mesopotamia invented curses, Egypt perfected them. To the Egyptians, death wasn't an end, it was a dangerous journey through an invisible world. A soul had to pass through 12 gates, face monsters, and be judged by the god Osiris. To fail meant annihilation. To succeed meant eternal life. That belief shaped an entire civilization. Every pyramid, every tomb, every ritual, all born from one idea, that death could be controlled with the right words, the right offerings, and the right gods. But fear made them cruelly creative. To protect tombs, priests inscribed warnings. "Death shall come on swift wings to him who disturbs the peace of the pharaoh." Centuries later, when Tutankhamun's tomb was opened in 1922, newspapers screamed, "The curse is real!" Several members of the excavation team died mysteriously. The truth? Likely coincidence. But the world's imagination didn't care. The Egyptians had succeeded. Their fear outlived them. 4. Rituals of blood, when faith turned to horror. As societies grew, gods became hungrier. In ancient Carthage, the god Baal-Haman was believed to demand the blood of children to bless crops and protect cities. Archaeological findings revealed tiny urns filled with the ashes of infants, a ritual the Carthaginians called mulk sacrifice. To them, it wasn't murder, it was insurance. To refuse was to risk drought, famine, or war. In the Aztec Empire, this belief reached its peak. They worshipped gods of rain, war, and the sun, and to keep the sun rising, they believed human hearts had to be offered daily. Temples ran red with blood, drums thundered, tens of thousands were sacrificed during great ceremonies. The logic was twisted, but clear. If we stop feeding the gods, they stop feeding us. 5. The magic of words, ancient spellcraft. While blood rituals ruled the temples, ordinary people turned to something quieter, words. Across Babylon, Egypt, and Greece, people carried tiny scrolls of parchment or lead tablets engraved with spells, some for love, some for luck, many for revenge. These were the first spells, not poetry, but power. A Babylonian clay tablet reads, "By the blood of the goat and the tears of the moon, may my enemy's house crumble in silence." The Greeks adopted this practice too, blending it with their love of logic and philosophy. Athenian court records reveal that even wealthy citizens secretly hired curse scribes, professionals who inscribed deadly oaths and buried them near their rivals' homes or graves. In their world, justice didn't end in court, it continued underground.
6. Punishment as purification. To ancient societies, punishment wasn't just about crime, it was about cleansing. In early tribal cultures, wrongdoers weren't just fined or jailed, they were purified through pain, flogged, branded, or exiled to please the spirits they had offended. The logic was spiritual. If one man sins, the gods might punish all. Better to cleanse the sinner now. In ancient Persia, the crime of lying was considered a sin against truth itself, a cosmic force. Liars could be punished by mutilation or death because deception corrupted divine order. In Sparta, cowardice in battle was a crime worse than treason. The guilty were forced to live in shame, shaved heads, torn cloaks, and public ridicule, believed to cleanse their dishonor through humiliation. Even in early Christian Europe, punishment became divine theater. Public executions were not just deterrents, they were rituals to remind the masses that sin demanded spectacle.
7. The fear never left. As centuries passed, gods changed names, but fear remained. Medieval Europe replaced Zeus with Christ, Baal with the devil, but the rituals continued under new rules. People still believed in curses, still sought purification, still punished the unclean. Witch trials, inquisitions, exorcisms, all born from the same ancient seed, the terror of the unknown. The strange past, it seems, never really disappeared. It simply changed costumes. 8. The Aztec sun never rose without blood. High above the Valley of Mexico, the mighty city of Tenochtitlan shimmered with gold and terror. At its heart stood the Templo Mayor, a twin pyramid dedicated to two gods, Huitzilopochtli, the god of war and the sun, and Tlaloc, the god of rain. To please them, the Aztecs believed they had to feed the heavens, not with food, with hearts. During the festival of the flayed god, victims, usually prisoners of war, were laid on a stone altar. A priest wielding an obsidian knife would open the chest and tear out the still-beating heart, lifting it toward the sun. Then the body would be thrown down the temple steps, and the blood would run like a river. To the Aztecs, this was not cruelty. It was cosmic duty. If the sun didn't receive its daily tribute, it might stop rising. The world might end. Every drop of blood, they believed, kept the universe alive. We live because they die. Aztec proverb. 9. The Maya and the Ritual of Kings. The Maya civilization, neighbors of the Aztecs, practiced their own rituals, more symbolic, but equally haunting. Their kings were not just rulers, they were the living bridges between humans and gods. To open the path to the divine, they performed bloodletting ceremonies on themselves. A queen might pierce her tongue with a stingray spine, letting the blood drip onto sacred paper that was then burned. The smoke, they believed, carried her soul into the other world. A king would slice his genitals, offering his blood life as proof of devotion. The more pain, the more powerful the vision. They believed that God spoke only through suffering. 10. Egypt's ritual of the servant death. Even in elegant golden Egypt, the afterlife demanded sacrifice. Early pharaohs were buried not just with treasures, but with people. Archaeologists discovered graves around royal tombs filled with the bodies of servants, guards, and even musicians. These weren't accidents. They were ritual deaths, offerings to serve the pharaoh in eternity. By the time of later dynasties, Egypt replaced real humans with small figurines called ushabti, representing workers for the afterlife. But the belief behind them remained chillingly clear. The king's comfort in the next world must be bought by lives in this one. 11. Rome's dark justice, punishment as performance. The Romans prided themselves on law and order, yet their punishments were as theatrical as they were brutal. For treason or rebellion, execution wasn't enough. The sentence had to be symbolic. One of the most feared was the pognaculier, the punishment of the sack. The condemned was sewn into a leather bag along with a monkey, a dog, a snake, and a rooster, then thrown into a river. Each animal represented chaos, sin, and betrayal, ensuring the guilty soul could never rest. The logic was not justice, it was ritual purification, evil dissolved by nature's fury. 12. The cursed kings of ancient India. Far across the world, ancient India held its own rituals to balance power and morality. In the Mahabharata, a cursed king named Nahusha was said to have been turned into a serpent for his arrogance toward the gods. The curse wasn't just punishment, it was cosmic correction. In Vedic traditions, kings were seen as representatives of divine order, Rita. When they sinned through greed, lies, or violence, droughts or plagues followed. To restore balance, priests conducted Ashwamedha, the horse sacrifice, a year-long ritual where a sacred horse roamed free, symbolizing the king's dominion. At the end, it was sacrificed to ensure the kingdom's purity. Even a mighty ruler's fate was bound by divine law. Power without humility was a curse in itself. 13. The rituals of transformation, shapeshifters and skinwalkers. Not all rituals were about punishment. Some sought to transcend humanity. In the mountains of Tibet, monks practiced a terrifying meditation called chod, meaning cutting through. They visualized their bodies being chopped into pieces and offered to demons as a feast, not as self-harm, but as ultimate surrender of ego. If the monk survived the vision, he was reborn fearless. Among Native American Navajo tribes, a darker myth lingered, the skinwalker, a witch who performed forbidden rituals, killing kin, and wearing their skin to gain animal power. It was said that even speaking their name could invite them. The ritual promised freedom from death, but at the price of one's soul. 14. Burial alive, the ritual of the living dead. In ancient China, certain dynasties practiced retainer sacrifice, where servants and even concubines were buried alive to accompany the emperor. The reasoning? The emperor would need his household in the next world. During the Shang dynasty, mass graves reveal entire courts interred around royal tombs. soldiers, dancers, and even horses, perfectly arranged as if frozen mid-ceremony. Later dynasties outlawed the practice and replaced humans with clay figurines, leading to the creation of the terracotta army. But the echoes of that belief, that death was just a continuation of duty, never truly faded.
15. The Dance of Death in Medieval Europe. Centuries later, when plagues swept across Europe, the rituals changed, but the fear remained. Death was everywhere, invisible, unpredictable, divine. The Danse Macabre, or Dance of Death, became a ritualized artwork, skeletons leading kings, peasants, and popes alike into the grave. It was painted on walls, carved into cathedrals, performed in plays, reminding all that death is the great equalizer. In a time when science failed and prayer ruled, the macabre became comfort. People no longer sacrificed others. They sacrificed themselves in endless penance, pilgrimages, and flagellations, hoping to survive God's wrath.
16. Rituals that still linger. Today we look at these acts with horror, but many of their echoes remain. When we wear black for mourning, we honor the ancient belief that spirits are drawn to color. When we toss coins into fountains, we mirror the old sacrifices to river gods. When we say "bless you" after a sneeze, we repeat a Roman spell meant to drive out demons. The past never really died. It just evolved, from fire to faith, from altars to habits.